What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Cake, and today I'm talking about the New York Islanders. They recently just lost to the two-seeded Carolina Hurricanes as a 7 seed, 4-2. This series had Sorokin play fantastic, but he just didn't get enough offensively from the team. Obviously, this team has always kind of needed more from their star players. I say star players because they don't really have that superstar player since John Tavares left. Matthew Barzal is a really good player, and I think he has the potential to be a star. And Bo Horvat also had a very good year this year and also could potentially blossom into a star. But I don't think those two players could really be superstars going forward. So let's talk about the Bo Horvat trade a little bit. He was traded for Anthony Beauvillier to Ratty and a conditional 2023 first round pick that if it was top 12, the Canucks would get it the following year. But they made the playoffs, so it's not going to be the top 12. So it is going to the Vancouver Canucks this year. And looking at this trade, I liked the idea of Lou coming in and trying to make a splash going into the trade deadline. Bo Horvat was playing fantastic. He scored a lot of goals this season. So they kind of needed that, and Anthony Beauvillier wasn't really supplying that for them anymore. And it takes a lot out of me to believe that Atu Ratty couldn't have been something good for them in the future, but that's something that you have to risk in trading for somebody like Bo Horvat. I think going forward that he could be a huge piece for them. Obviously, he's on that huge extension. Might have been too long, might have been too much term, or might have been too much term, might have been too much money, but that's okay because I think he'll be huge for this team going forward. Let's talk about the future. Pierre Engvall is a free agent this year. Varlamov, Mayfield, Samuel Bolduc, Wotherspoon, Parise, and Fasching are all going to be free agents this year. But the big thing for me this year is that I think this team is too old offensively on the forward side. This team, as constructed, is the third oldest forward core in the league behind the Capitals and the Penguins. But the difference is between those two teams is I have more trust that they can get the job done because they have players like Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. I know they're getting up in age, but they are still superstars in this league. Crosby still averages a point per game. Ovechkin still did what he needed to do this year in scoring a bunch of goals. And I just think that having that star power is huge. And I just don't think the Islanders have that. I think that they have Ilya Sorokin, but Ilya Sorokin's not going to score goals for you. He can only do so much in net for you. And I think that if you can't score the puck efficiently throughout the year, that a player like Sorokin could either be upset and potentially leave, or he is going to be really good, but you guys aren't going to make the playoffs because you have not the scoring touch that you need. So bringing up that, the Islanders need to bring up more young guys and give them a chance. It worked with Dobson, it worked with Sorokin, it worked with Pelech, and their defense is actually young too already. So why can't they do that offensively? Their defense is currently 25.8 for their average age. So why not bring it up offensively as well and bring in some potential forwards that can help you offensively? I got some candidates here for you. William Dufour, he's a 21-year-old right wing. He scored 21 goals, 27 assists for 48 points in 69 games for the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And, you know, he's a good player. He's got good goal potential for you. He's got an amazing potential to be an offensive player for you. I'm really going to only talk about the offense for these guys because that's what you guys really need. Obviously, you guys have those players that are going to be gritty and all that, but I'm going to bring up offensive numbers mostly during this because I think that that's what you guys really need. Next, you have Ruslan Ichhekov, 22-year-old center, scored 17 points or 17 goals, 34 assists for 51 points in 69 games once again for the Sound Tigers. And these two players are obviously two people that definitely, I think, deserve a chance in this lineup eventually, whether it be this year or next year. I think these two players are going to be good players for you going forward in the future. And finally, Arnold Durandua. I'm sorry, I butchered the names. I'm not good with names. Left wing, 24 years old, 24 goals, 31 assists, 55 points. He's had a little bit of playing time in the NHL already during his career. Didn't really pan out for him. They didn't really give him a real look. So I think now is the time for a 24-year-old player to come up. He played fantastic for the Sound Tigers this year and kind of be able to play for this team and see what he can actually do. If he can score 24 goals in the AHL, maybe he can score 20 at least in the NHL, which is going to be huge for a team like the Islanders right now. Now let's talk about the players currently on the roster that could leave for these players. Dufour's right wing position could potentially be replacing Fasching, who's 27, hasn't shown much for your team. He's got a decent speed option for you, but if you don't want to resign him, that's a definitely good option for you. And finally, we're going to go into a player that I definitely think needs to be off this roster either this offseason or next year during the trade deadline, and that's Josh Bailey. He makes $5 million, and he doesn't do much for your team anymore. He's 33 years old. He's getting up there in age. And you could go out there and get better options for that price that are younger and maybe more productive. He had 25 points in 64 games, and that's just not enough to make $5 million. John Tavares was a huge reason why he had 74 points in that 1 year. And, you know, he's he was scratched during the postseason this year. So he wasn't getting minutes anyway. He's making $5 million to sit and do nothing pretty much right now, as he wasn't on your postseason roster. So, you know, he's got to go, I think. I think he's obviously a fan favorite around in New York, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys wanted him to be traded too. So $5 million needs to go from Josh Bailey to potentially bring in younger, more talented guys in the future. And I think that's good for you. For Ruslan, his center position is actually going to be a little bit tougher going down the middle. You could try to play him as a winger, but I don't see that really happening. You need to have good centers in your lineup, but he may have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe that's the 2 years from now type of thing. If I was picking personally, I'd say Cizikas, but he just earned his extension and has 5 more years, which I also think is a bad contract. He's 32 years old. Obviously, it's only for $2 million a year. He's obviously a fan favorite, and the fans love him. And he's kind of a Derek Ryan type player for you. So I think he's a good player for you, but 5 years on a contract for him is a long time for a player that's going to be 37 by the end of it and is a fourth liner. The left winger, Duran Duo, I don't know his name. I'm sorry. Zach Parise is the easy option here. He could retire at the end of the season. He's 38 years old and he's a free agent. Take him out of the lineup and bring in Duran Dia. Like, I think that's just an easy option. He's on a free agent. Just let him go. He's 38 years old. He doesn't really need to be on this team. So just do that. The reason I'm bringing up prospects is because they need a true superstar in Long Island, and they're not going to find hidden gems if they keep chasing and clinging to these older guys like Clutterbuck, Martin, and Bailey. I know that there's a culture in New York, and that's grit and grind. And, you know, they're going to wear you down defensively, and they're going to do all this. But that culture was Barry Trotz's doing, and he's gone now, and now a clear ceiling for this team is the first round. They made the Eastern Conference Finals those back-to-back years, but now teams are more skilled, and the Islanders can't keep up with them scoring wise. And the Metro keeps getting better. The Devils are better. The Rangers are better. And obviously the Carolina Hurricanes are the top team in that division, and you just lost to them. So you have to adjust and find ways of bringing in skill players that you can propel yourself into the future. And just looking at all the teams below the New York Islanders, I see them surpassing them. So the Sabres have Tage Thompson and oh my God, why am I blanking? Oh, Rasmus Dahlin. So they got Thompson and Rasmus Dahlin. Very good team, very young team going forward here, very skilled. A lot of good pieces there that can score the puck, and they're very, very into the future going to be very good. Devon Levy also played very well for them this year. I can see them jumping up into making the playoffs in the coming years, and that might potentially bring you down. The Florida Panthers are currently taking the Boston Bruins to 7 games. And honestly, this team is not going anywhere either. Barkov and Tkachuk are both still very young, and the pieces around them are very good. The Sam Bennett's, Sam Reinhart's, and all these guys are just really good. And I think that they also have a good future, especially if Spencer Knight comes back and he's as good as he was before. The Ottawa Senators continue to get better. Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk are only going to get better as the years go by. Tim Stützle could honestly have 100 points in the next couple of years here. We'll see how that goes. But they just continue to get better and better. And they are going to also potentially propel into those playoffs, and that'll also kick you out. Pittsburgh and Washington both had injury-filled years that cost them. They still have Sidney Crosby. They still have Alexander Ovechkin. So those players are going to lead them to almost the playoffs every single year. If they make it, who knows? But I don't see this team jumping up into the top of the Metro, and I can just see them falling down if they don't try to find more skilled players that can go into their future and help them skill wise. Because right now, this team is struggling to score goals when it matters the most, and they need more scoring, and that's what they need to do going forward. So that is going to be all from me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe. Islanders fans, comment down below what you think. I could be completely wrong. If you think I'm wrong, absolutely tell me in the comments down below what needs to be done for this team. And yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you guys all